What is up, everybody? Welcome to What's Trainwreck Watching. Jake Micah here, as always, with Maniac, as we are well into Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3 today, The Convert. Maniac, you have a beautiful setting behind you. You set it up nicely before we got on here. How are you doing out there in where are you at right now? It's somewhere else in
So
the world?
Arizona, I mean, it might as well be
There you
like a
go.
Star Wars planet right now compared to Western New York and everything in Chicago where you are. But yeah, we got some nice sun, we got some foliage. We're ready to let loose, just like my boy Pershing was trying to let loose for the Republic in this new episode. But I think you
Oh
said it
man.
perfect. Now that we're 3 episodes in, there's really a lot happening and a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, Stark. The Pershing was just a Stark left turn into whatever I think the grand storytelling we're gonna get. At least in this modern time, whatever they're planning with this connected universe, I feel like this is just the start of a lot of pieces moving around there. But let's start with right at the beginning of the episode. We didn't know where we would end up picking up. We picked up right back in the at the Living Waters there on Mandalore. Bo-Katan was like, "Hey, did you see anything down there? Anything?" When you were just like, "What are you talking about?" She kept
That
that to
was so
herself.
very classic by Bo-Katan, feeling out what Mando
She's like,
saw. And
like,
by the way, it's super rare to pick up an episode of Mando directly off of where we left off the last one. So I thought that was cool.
yeah, I wasn't expecting that honestly. So that was nice to see. But they get out of there without having to deal with the mythosaur or anything else. Pretty good until they start getting into the air, and then you see those familiar TIE fighters just chasing them down. And it's about, what is there, 5 of them, I think, to start out chasing them
Yeah,
around.
it seemed like a small squadron, and I thought it was cool to see the TIE interceptors. A ship we haven't seen, I would dare say, since like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
As far as
Or
new
Empire,
vehicles,
one
so
of the two, yeah.
very cool to see them for sure. With that said, yeah, it was a great episode. This was some of the best, I don't know what you would call it, choreography, cinematic, things when you had obviously everything they got into once they returned to Bo-Katan's planet. They get in the atmosphere, and Mando does his drop out into the N1, baby.
Yo, that was some crazy shit. That was like when Batman's jumping from the out of the plane in the one movie, like he's jumping from plane to plane. That's what I was thinking of. I thought he was literally just gonna like float right into the top and just jump right in, but it was pretty damn close. So yeah, they go back, they
So
get Mando's ship. Go ahead.
I'll go with another superhero. I'll go
Oh
Captain
boy,
America. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, when he jumps out of the plane at the beginning.
with the shield and slides down there. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
like that
And
one
then
too.
the cool detail was that like he only had about 15 seconds to get in the N1 and start going because some TIE fighter they showed absolutely took out the landing pad.
Oh yeah, destroyed it immediately. Those Tie Fighters meant those were like 5 tough Tie Fighters. That was a tough fight for them. I mean, Bo-Katan was chasing them. They were getting chased through this big, windy, I don't even know, rocks canyon type thing. She wasn't too confident. The droids weren't too confident, and they were just coming out. But obviously, Mando's gonna come in, swoop in, save the day. And then it wasn't just 5, Maniac. Then it was a lot more than 5. How many was your counter? 50,
Uh, I,
60?
I would say, I mean, it had to, I would say my initial thing was I was going to say 30 plus. And so I would say easily into the 40 to 60 range. Yeah. Once you start seeing the radar, the TIE interceptors all coming in. By the way, speaking of which, those cool moves they were doing, what were you more impressed by? Mando taking out like the 6 to 7 of them, or that one move by Bo-Katan when she kind of top gunned that one?
That was pretty impressive on her part, I will have to say. I expect that from Mando. That was pretty impressive, her coming sliding in there. But then they got him chasing out, and then they go and type in some jump coordinates. Mando's like, "Hey, I got a place we can go," and then that's the last we see of him for about 45 minutes. But were you
You gotta
surprised to see
love,
the
you gotta love relatability in Star Wars. Nothing better than seeing R5D4 just sliding all over that floor, no clue what's going
He
on. And
was
it's
so
yes,
pissed.
even Grogu popped open his pod. He's like, I gotta check this out. R5 is like sliding all over the place. But yeah, like you said, crazy to see obviously some Empire vehicles and everything. It's always cool to see. Obviously, we got that Moff Gideon with season 1 and 2. I thought that was a pretty big tease by them to be like, no standard warlord has like 30 or 40 ships. So whoever we're teasing as kind of the behind the scenes big bad here, I mean, that was a big tease, Micah.
Yeah, I mean, we've brought up like a couple different names in the past and everything else, but yeah, it seems like they have pissed off the wrong people within the Empire, um, as of right
100%.
now.
I was gonna say, do you like? So I think that the too obvious answer is Grand Admiral Thrawn because he got
That's
name
my
dropped
first
that
thought. Yeah,
season. It was obviously my first thought. I just feel like A, it's too obvious, and B, they're probably saving that for the Ahsoka series. I would assume since she was the one specifically to name drop him, that she was hunting him. I feel like that's going to be a big part of her series.
well, do you feel like Ahsoka's gonna show up at some point due to the nature of the how this episode kind of went? Because as the turn of this episode opened our to a greater world that I feel like we have explored a little bit, but not really explored, and it feels like we're starting to get more pieces to this larger story, and that was the point of this was the lot of Empire ties all over this episode. This whole episode was about the Empire, basically.
Yeah,
But do you
it was
think
the
that
dynamic, the Republic versus the Empire. Now they're in that post era where it's like you even heard like that when they were talking about it casually as we get into the next portion of the episode. It's like, who even knows what's going on anymore? It's just, it's crazy. But
it's all just
yeah,
mixed together?
I was very caught off guard by the next segment of the episode. I mean, it ended up being about 2/3 to 3/4 of the episode, and it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Your name here, Justice for Pershing. Do you want to give the breakdown here? Because I feel like this hit you harder than it
Yeah.
hit
So
me
first off,
emotionally for our boy.
did you remember him right away when you saw him given the TED talk at Coruscant?
Yeah, you know what? I still didn't even know that I saw him before until right now. Like I just kind of figured out
Yeah,
what was going on. Who is he?
and it took me even longer with with his cohort. But first off, I love the TED talk on Coruscant. I thought that was
Amazing.
hysterical. It definitely like showed an interesting thing, and yeah, it was kind of cool to see. Obviously, I don't know. Someone's writing something to me, but it was very cool to see. And yeah, obviously, so you have the amnesty program. So I want to talk about this. Obviously, you got my Dr. Pershing. By the way, it felt like a employee at like a new job. Like it was very funny. Like it was kind of awkward, a little bit like stale. Like you just so first off, the interactions with the droid robot, like asking him his feelings and whether he has any hostility towards the thing. Very funny. There were so many comments just tearing up I would say tearing it up in like a fair way, because like if you're the Republic, why are you putting all these Empire like former cronies like all together? Like if anything, you're just asking for trouble. You're just begging for trouble. But
100%.
obviously they like their biscuits and everything like that. Now on the flip side, did you recognize Gideon's crony when she came out? That took me a long time.
I didn't recognize like who I knew that she was a familiar person and knew that she was not somebody that should be messed around with, but I couldn't remember exactly until like later on, the very end. So it took me a minute. Like I will say this, it take me a minute to figure out like the connections and the people I was looking at. But then once it all came together, I was like, oh, okay, now I get where we're moving here.
She's definitely like a supporting character or whatever. It was funny though, because the only thing I remembered was I go, oh yeah, she's the one who told Gideon he had a message when Mando was like threatening him. Like that was the only thing I could remember. So yeah, so this was all this was kind of like funny to me. Like this whole segment of the first segment of the Pershing storyline, kind of acclimating him to the New Republic, the workstation, everything like that. And then when they're all toasting outside in like the pavilion or whatever in the middle of the thing, long live the New Republic. It's like hysterical.
Yeah, it's like,
absolutely hysterical.
Like what are we doing here?
I wrote down a note. New Republic is cubicle based. I mean, I would have thought they had a better office setup than that, obviously.
Dude, what year is this? I mean, I know it's a long time ago, but how are we still doing cubicles? Like, what are we talking about here? Nice open floor.
We were talking about this in the pre-show. So obviously, any Star Wars fan would be familiar. But we're back in Coruscant for everything. Were you excited to be back there? I thought it was pretty cool to see it after the original trilogy 4, 5, 6.
Do you want to know what my favorite part about Coruscant was in this episode? As a native, or not a native, but as a Chicagoan now, seeing the public transportation on the train and the shady characters that you see on a train while you're walking through, and then turning into the shady character on the train as you're walking through, really hit home for me. I have to say, I enjoyed that. But that's the thing about this episode. Go ahead.
What'd you think of the labels they were giving everyone? I mean, I don't know if taking away people's names and calling them like L52 is the best way to like welcome them into a new group.
That was so weird. Like, can't you come up with like a like dope code name? Like, go back to Top Gun. Like, can't we have like a code name or something? Like, at least like get creative with it. But that's the thing is like, this was the empire, the whatever the it was an interesting dynamic to bring up in this episode because it was funny, like you're saying. The weird thing about it though is that you're just like, okay, like this is the New Republic. They're saying they're doing all these things, but like what's it like, who is this actually benefiting? Like they're a bureaucracy that's clearly not getting anything done.
Don't even get me started on the New Republic. After this episode, I was rooting for the First Order, honestly, because I'm watching this episode. First off, nobody's on the train. The only security on the train is a droid that moves at like 1 mile per hour, so you can basically just ditch him anytime. Then you get to a Star Destroyer, which, you know, if I'm like the New Republic, maybe we want to guard these like Star Destroyers like a little bit, like prevent people from walking. Like they didn't even swipe a key card. They didn't hack anything. They basically just like looked right, looked left, ran on the Star Destroyer. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was a mess. They are clearly a mess. But Pershing was really trying to do some good. I think. I don't know. Here's the thing. 100%. Was he trying to do good or was he like what are his intentions with this?
He was falling into his old habits. He's obviously big on the cloning. He's cloned to the bone. Loves that. But with that said, so the big scene, obviously, he goes to the droid and he kind of asks, like, you know, is anything I do that could like help the Republic like more important than this? I forget the exact phrasing. And the droid was like, yes. And that was kind of like his green light. You know, this guy, Pershing, he wanted to play everything by the rules. He wanted to do exactly what he's supposed to be doing in this amnesty program. He wanted to work on his way to help out the New Republic. He wanted to do everything right. Then you got Elia, friggin' Gideon's old crony, probably like wondering where he is, just like absolutely manipulating his mind. I mean, there was no doubt that Elia was going to turn on Pershing at some point. I'm just surprised that it kind of like happened anticlimactically at the end with nothing.
I know. And then we're just leaving it off. Well, maybe not with nothing, because I feel like now this is like the story. But I mean, not without anything, because what do we learn about the New Republic here at the end is that they put him in this machine, which I guess effectively
how about that overly cheerful doctor who was just like, everything's gonna be okay, like when like clearly it was not.
That's the whole thing that I'm trying. Like, the New Republic is worse than the Empire right now.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm rooting for the Empire.
Like, how could I not? Like, at least the Empire is telling me, like, hey, we're gonna blow up your planet unless you do this. It's like, okay, I can live with those terms. Like, you're giving me clear communication. This guy's like, like, we're just gonna fry your brain a little bit, but I promise you.
Oh, don't you worry about this mind flaying. We're just gonna get some nice signals and some nice colors to rearrange your brain synapses.
He said it's a similar device, but when he's like.
Something that destroys your neural cortex. Oh, it's a similar device.
But then our girl turned that shit up to 2,500, which what is that going to do to him?
Again, Mike, I can't get over it. Is there no supervision in the New Republic? Is it just everyone looks away like instantly when anything? But I mean, this guy's brain is literally getting like needled and like saucered and like lightning to death. And nobody can even see it. Nobody can even like clock in to watch. It's just going to be Elia just slowly turning them out. Like, unbelievable.
So that, like, what the fuck? Like, what is it? Gave me a great sense of dread of like who they're going to, like, because they can't be trusted. Those people cannot be trusted. Clearly, they're getting infiltrated by, I don't know if she still cares about the Empire or what, if like the thing didn't work on her too, like the whatever.
That's a great question though. So where do you see this going next? So she just brain scrambled him. That seemed like something she wanted to achieve, and it didn't seem like something she wanted to achieve because she wanted to kill him. Like if she wanted to kill Pershing, she could have literally just shot him on the Star Destroyer. She could have done anything, but instead she walks him into the trap where she knows he's going to get mind flayed. It's like you said, maybe she doesn't have her Empire allegiance anymore, but she's definitely working for someone who definitely wants Pershing's abilities. It would seem to me.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to remember anything, but he's going to still know about cloning.
Yeah, and that's that's what I wondered. Like, where is she still? Is she still with? If she's still with our guy? If that's why it's tied together in this episode, you know what I mean? Or just where it all ends up with her, it's going to be interesting. But then we get to the end of this here, and we finally catch back up with Mando, Bo-Katan. They show up to, what was the name of our planet here? Kalevala.
Kalevala sounds like a tropical resort.
It kind of looks like a tropical resort too. It did,
By
besides
the way,
the big,
they're still posted up by that like dangerous lake. I'm like, what the hell?
yeah, with the big old monster just hanging out there. They're like, yeah, we'll just chill here. But then they bring the proof of the living waters. Our guy, he is forgiven. He's not an apostate any longer. But they also forgive Bo-Katan, who did not.
That was big. So that is hysterical, because basically this is the equivalent of like Bo-Katan has basically been making fun of this cult for a whole season at this point, like basically mocking them and everything. Next thing she knows, she just gets inducted out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, and she didn't look like, you can't see. The big thing was, have you taken your helmet off since you went in the water? So like, no. And she is someone who we've been able to see her emotion the whole time and see everything, but you could just tell she was not. I don't know if she's not happy, but she was definitely uncomfortable with the idea at this moment. And I'm still kind of worried about her Darksaber ambitions going on there. So there's a lot of moving parts introduced this episode. What did you think of it overall, though?
It was really good. I liked the episode. I don't want every single episode to be like this. I don't want 5 minutes of Mando and then 5 minutes of Mando at the end with sandwich in between. But at the end of the day, since like there's no real storyline around Grogu anymore, he went to Mandalore. So that was something that if you had told you or I think at the beginning of the season, we would have predicted that the Mandalore voyage Odyssey was going to take the whole season.
Yeah.
I would have definitely put the money on that. But instead, we're 3 episodes in. It's already done. So we're not even halfway through the season, and that's already taken care of. Mando's already back in the convent and everything. Paz Vizsla doesn't look very happy, but we don't have to worry about his happiness. Would you want to say because the episode always ends and you're kind of jarred. Lee Isaac Chung was making his directorial debut. This is the first time episode that he did. Wow. I thought it was very interesting, very different tone. It was obviously still written and everything.
It was a different feel. It was a different feel.
Absolutely a different feel, which I liked. I liked that a lot.
Well, are you watching Last of Us right now? Are you completely caught up? Yep. So you finished the other day. The flashback episode a couple weeks ago, we were talking about it. It felt like that structure yet again. It felt like that structure. It felt not flashback specifically, but they gave you the little taste of like the big thing that's happening. And then we're going to leave you for this big, humongous thing, go to this completely different storyline for this chunk of the episode. And then for the last 5 minutes, we'll come back to our big ass thing that we started out with. And I liked it. I thought it was just hilarious that it was the same exact structure with that guy. But
I read 2 notes after the episode, because obviously we like to do our, see what everyone else noticed, stuff like that. The first was that I guess after Din and Bo-Katan said this is the way, I didn't hear it on my TV, but I guess Grogu kind of like mumbled a similar sound. Not this is the way, but people are speculating that like by the end of the season he could be talking now. Do you think that's something we're ready for, to see Baby Yoda talking?
Oh, no. I'm not ready for that. Not in the slightest. But I do think that will be his first words, is this is the way.
That would be sick.
Yeah,
that would absolutely be sick. And then the other one. So obviously, the bookends of the episode are Bo-Katan and this Mythosaur for sure. This is a storyline that's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah,
she gets to the headquarters of the other Mandos, and she sees it was a Mythosaur skull, right?
Yeah, like a statue or something on the wall.
I guess it's kind of open ended. Do you think? I think no matter what, she senses an ability to become the leader of these Mandalorians. And I think that B, it's either 1 through the Mythosaur, like taking over the Mythosaur, riding the Mythosaur. She doesn't even need the Darksaber anymore. She could do that. The other thing is are they trying to say that like that mythosaur that's in the waters is dead because of that skull? Because that would be like lying to the whole group, right? Like, so she could kind of expose that. I mean, because let's face it, she doesn't love this group as it is. She doesn't love their,
Well, and they
ways.
are lying. I mean, they don't believe them. I don't think still. Like that one guy, they showed the first guy that meets them as they get to the
Yeah,
island, and
Paz Vizsla. Yep.
yeah, and they show him after everybody's celebrating and is all happy and everything, and he is not convinced at all. Like he is
So,
still pissed
he's
off at
pissing.
everything going
He's
on.
going to be
Yeah,
pissy no matter what. Last time he saw Mando in Book of Boba Fett,
he's
or
not
Mando
happy.
treated him for the dark saber. So
Yeah,
anytime he sees Mando, he's still, yeah, it's like great to see a Mando, but it's like the one you really hate. So it's like, eh. But yeah,
yeah.
those are my takeaways. A great episode to open up some storylines going forward. Pershing got absolutely screw jobbed, and I hope that in the end he'll be able to take down Elia or whatever. But I would say, like
I don't
we
know.
agreed,
Her mind was they better have some Winter Soldier Wakanda technology to get it back because that thing was
seriously.
turned up. At least he wasn't screaming though. It was better technology than Bucky.
Definitely was not screaming. He was just chilling.
Yeah.
He's like, oh. He's all, but yeah, great.
Poor
So
guy.
that's 3 out of 8 episodes done, 37% through the
Can't wait.
season or whatever. Do you have any predictions for the final 5 episodes of the
Well,
season or anything?
you mentioned Grogu taking his back seat right now, and he definitely has. And I do think that is because it was such a Grogu heavy season last season, but it's going to come back around. I still think that Ahsoka, Grogu, she's going to wonder what the heck happened. There's going to be a lot of that I still think has to get touched on. And as we move up with this Empire stuff and everything else, we'll see, man.
Seriously.
As this is completely off topic as we're going here, but I've got 17 seconds left in Arizona Princeton, and Princeton's up 3,
Ooh,
and
my gosh.
Arizona just airballed a 3.
Oh no. Okay. Well, speaking of air balls, Pershing when he's
That's the other
trying
one.
to run for it's so funny. The Star Destroyers, like I don't know, the sequel trilogy and Palpatine raising like 1,000 Star Destroyers out of the ground kind of changed them for me. I don't know, what I'm thinking about those, but all I could say, I'm glad Mando's rolling along, and I'm definitely looking forward to obviously the next installment.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be good. This is gonna be a great season. I think that the storytelling, they think that they've obviously shown to all through the first 3 seasons they can do, but this one just really picked up like the places we can go with this season and what we can explore. It's gonna be interesting the rest of the way. But yeah, man, can't wait.
Agreed. And whether it's Princeton or Arizona at the buzzer on what's train wreck watching, it's not about this week's review. It's not about last week's opinions. It's about next week's
episode.
episode.
Oh shit, I was not ready.